Greetings and welcome to an LGR Computer Chronicles watch-along commentary type of thing. Yeah, I did one of these for a Christmas episode looking at their 1985 buyer's guide, and that was something that went over surprisingly well and was honestly a lot of fun to do. And yeah, we're going to do another one. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, which has been happening in some form or another since the late 1960s and typically is every January. We just had CES 2025 as I'm recording this, so that's why I'm recording this now, because I was looking at all the coverage of all the new things. I always really enjoy seeing the new stuff, although here recently it's just been more and more sloppy. You know, everything is like the same sounding kind of product name. Everything is a Max Pro AI, Premium AI, Gen 6 Eco Elite AI, 5000 series Smart AI Plus Max. So let's look at the 1993 Computer Chronicles coverage, specifically of the winter CES show, because back then there was a summer in Chicago and then winter in Vegas. Nowadays, it's just a winter Vegas. Anyway, let's enjoy. And with a little bit better quality footage this time, thanks to a comment saying that, yeah, you can go on archive.org and get the original interlaced, better quality version and then de-interlace it in 60 FPS now. And it looks really good. Let's dive in. All right, 1993 Computer Chronicles coverage of CES, the winter CES 1993. Let's go.
IBM is here, Apple is here, Compaq is here, Commodore is here, but this is not a computer expo. This is the annual Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. But guess what? It's a computer show anyhow, as entertainment electronics look more and more like computers, and computers look more and more like multimedia entertainment platforms.
It's already such a wonderful start. IBM, Apple, Compaq, it looks like Pionex over there, which that's just interesting that they were even notable at all to have that kind of a booth. If that's Pionex, they're the same people that made my Woodgrain 486 before it was the Woodgrain 486.
Today we'll show you the neatest new gadgets at the Consumer Electronics Show on the special edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Yes. So that is their updated theme they started using around 89 or 90 or something. And I've been getting into this recently because I picked up the original, not the theme, but the sort of intro segue for Computer Chronicles from 1983 to 89-ish on vinyl. I did a video over that in LGR Blurbs, and that song is called Byte by Byte. So that one. But I also recently discovered that this one is also on vinyl. It's a track by John K. Manchester for the Omni Music Company, so another one of those sort of stock production music things, and the name of the track is Zenith.
The Software Publishers Association. Don't copy that floppy.
Don't copy it, okay? It's bad. Hey, it's Tim Bajarin.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Tim Bajarin.
Yeah, the constantly revolving hosts of Computer Chronicles. By this point, Gary Kildall was no longer part of the show.
Tim, what I'm playing with here is this new digital book system from Franklin Electronics. It's kind of fun. They say, by the way, this is the world's first real personal digital assistant because it's actually out there and it's a product and you can buy it. It has a blank book in there in which you can write notes, a kind of notepad, but it also has other books. As you can see, I can go to a book full of word games, which is kind of fun. I have a very powerful 270,000 word dictionary.
So at first I thought this was just one of those basic Franklin personal organizer things, pretty much like a dictionary thesaurus. You can look up some basic stuff, take notes, and I have a calendar and stuff, but this seems way more involved. The Franklin Digital Book System.
The way this works, you buy these little ROM cards. Each one of these things has 45 megabytes in it. So between the two ROM cards, I've got 90 megs of information, and I can read it and access it in a very simple user interface.
Okay, that's extremely cool. I didn't know that this existed. This is called the Franklin Book, the Digital Book System. So it is effectively a glorified organizer, it seems, but it's got a 65C18 C816 processor with 32K RAM, 40 by 160 res. Just a neat little computer. It's those tiny ROM cards. Those are fascinating. 45 megs of data. That makes it a little bit closer to something like an Atari Portfolio, for instance, but $199 in 1993, roughly $440 adjusted for inflation.
Today, we will look at a variety of computer-based consumer electronics products, including the latest electronic games, the growing use of CD-ROM media, and the merging of notebook computers and palm-top organizers. To start
I'm
our show,
excited.
let's go back to Las Vegas and a look at one of the hottest new product categories, the personal digital assistant.
Apple Computer coined the term Personal Digital Assistant, or PDA, last year with the announcement of Newton. It's not on the market yet, and it wasn't even on the exhibit floor here at CES.
Did they coin the term PDA for the Newton? I mean, it wasn't necessarily the first thing you would call a PDA, but I guess the term Personal Digital Assistant, yeah, probably so. According to the sources I'm finding, in 1992, John Sculley coined it in the keynote speech he made at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas.
But this type of product, a hybrid of organizer, computer, and communicator, was a hot topic here. Casio showed off its PDA by invitation only. Casio is calling its device a personal information processor. The Casio unit has a touchscreen
It's a Pip
that
Boy.
lets you pop up a representation of a keyboard, or you can just write on it with a pen. The Casio Personal Information Processor can save your handwriting as it is, or convert it to a text file.
It looks
for
kinda
later
laggy.
search and retrieval.
Oh yeah, oh my
They
goodness.
expect strong consumer
It just see how long it took for that to register the word pen. I was writing it in there and it's like several seconds and eventually it'll figure out what you wrote. Oof.
You can look at it a couple of ways. The way we prefer to look at it is that it will appeal to the people that always wanted something to organize them, but didn't.
So I'm just looking at the background there. There's this person going by with like a lamp post and signs. I love trade shows so much.
Casio promises to ship the Personal Information Processor this summer. The price will be in the $600 range.
Ooh, I wonder if they ever shipped it. I mean, Casio made all kinds of different organizer type of deals and yeah, okay, so the XL7000 maybe? Oh dang, this is handy. Mobilizer on Flickr. Looks like the Z7000, XL7000, the Tandy ZPDA, and AST Grip Pad 2390 are all the same thing.
AT&T is also entering the PDA market with their personal communicator.
I love the way that booth looks.
While the Casio device was designed more like a personal organizer,
What is that?
the AT&T unit works more like a computer. The handheld communicator uses the Pinpoint operating system from Go Corporation. There's a built-in speaker and microphone for voice annotation.
Go Pinpoint. That is the same thing that was used on the IBM, like the original ThinkPad, the Pad tablet version. Yeah, the ThinkPad 700T series ran the same kind of thing as that AT&T communicator.
And if you want to send a fax or check your email while on the road, AT&T is offering an optional cellular phone that can be attached through the unit's communications port. Prices will range between $2,000 for the basic model to up to $3,000 with all the bells and whistles.
I knew it was going to be extremely expensive just hearing these specs and seeing all this bougie crap it could do. Built-in cell phone? Come on now. $3,000. Yeah, the full bells and whistles version would have been $6,500 with inflation.
Sharp is also getting into the PDA game. If you already own a Wizard, sorry, Sharp's newest model, the Oz 9600, has some nice new features like pen input on its touchscreen.
She called it the Oz. I'm sure that's an OZ something. But did you see that gigantic display? I love that kind of, yeah, this gigantic organizer PDA thing. Again, trade shows, man. It just makes everything gigantic and huge. That's how you get attention to your booth. It seems like it's always been that way. It still is.
The Casio Oz 9600 also comes with a QWERTY keyboard. The Sharp unit also has a scrapbook function that lets you retain your notes in your own handwriting as a graphics file. This newest Wizard is due out this summer with a suggested retail price of $649.
Just kind of gave up writing the word right there. They're like, it's not an E, it's an E, whatever.
The Panasonic KXRC100 is not quite a personal digital assistant, but it is a clever palm-top gadget. This check printing accountant, acronym CPA, is an electronic check
CPA.
register that also prints out the checks for you. The retail price on the Panasonic CPA is $350.
That's so cute. Like, it's such a purpose-built little thingy, and it just prints your checks. Although I guess, I mean, it'd still, in theory, be useful. Checks haven't exactly changed, I guess.
Coming up next, the latest in multimedia and the debut of 3DO.
This baby happens to have an alphanumeric keyboard, and a 2K memory in here. I have my Christmas shopping list in here. Look at this.
So apparently this was, the 10th anniversary season of Computer Chronicles. Started in 83, this was 93. Wasn't even that long before this, but it seemed like an eternity at the time, I'm sure.
The greatest boon to consumer electronics has been the computer chip and the optical storage drive.
Okay, there's a lot happening in this frame. I don't know what that is. I guess, can you rent CDs maybe? That computer is looking brilliant. And then I see this here next to the Compton's Encyclopedia logo over there on the left. Sony MMCD player. Now that is a rabbit hole that I have gone down rather deeply and have never done a video about it, even though I have a lot of the hardware. Yeah, it plays these MMCD discs. Kind of like, the Data Discman, which that's something you've probably seen if you've seen Tecmo stuff. The thing is, it can run full-on software though, including DOS or some version of DOS. There's an NEC V20 inside. It has these MMCD discs. I need to find more software before I do anything more with it.
Much of the attention at this Consumer Electronics Show is on products using CDs or Laserdiscs.
Ooh, Laserdiscs.
One of the hottest new CD applications here at CES was 3DO, the acronym for three-dimensional optics.
Wait, what? Three-dimensional optics? I thought I always meant like audio, video, 3DO was sort of a punny type of thing. Three-dimensional optics. It actually seems to be that's what it stood for, at least at some point during the initial announcement launch period. Three-dimensional optics. I'm finding it in all kinds of newspapers from back then. That's wild.
3DO can process images 50 times faster than a PC or a video game console, thanks to custom animation processors which run in parallel.
I mean, probably. Also, I just love the textured spinning cubes were the thing.
The system can process up to 64 million pixels per second. In addition to the graphics chips, the 3DO system also includes a custom digital processor for audio, a specialized video processor.
That's an impressive demo, honestly, for 93. That's awesome.
It also uses a double-speed CD-ROM drive for fast access. The net result is a lot of computing power that gives you smoother images, cleaner scaling, and texture mapping. 3DO calls it cinematic software.
Of course they did.
A new kind of interactivity. For example, there'll be movies that are done as a linear stream, just like they are now. The perspective on how you view that particular story can change. And it'll be a new form of media, just like in the beginning of motion picture. All they were doing was filming a stage play. It wasn't until later they began to understand how to use the medium of film.
I love this hype for like interactive movies. Oh my God, it's gonna be a whole new art form. You know what? It certainly was. It certainly was. In like 1993 to about 96. Just look at these beautiful displays. Look at this. Wow. That's so cool. I want to be here so badly. Oh, interactive movies. Infotainment. I love the way that the designs were in the 90s for these kind of exhibits and booths and setups and displays.
3DO wasn't the only company introducing a new CD-ROM-based interactive technology. Pioneer, in cooperation with Sega,
Hey! Yeah, the Laser Active.
Laser Active. The system includes a combination video disc and compact disc player.
So yeah, it had Sega CDs, Sega Genesis kind of mixture games in there with that little module, and then you could swap that out for, I think, a TurboGrafx module. And what was the other one? Maybe they'll say.
And 3 optional control packs to manage this multi-platform interactive system. Pioneer Laser Active dumps the video onto the Laserdisc and thus keeps all 540 megs of storage on the CD-ROM for the interactive.
That's super cool at the time. Really, really cool. So there were more of those modules or packs than I thought there were. So you had the Sega Genesis Mega Drive one, the NEC one for PC Engine and other stuff, it looks like. TurboGrafx, karaoke one. I think that was the other one I was trying to think of. And also a computer interface one with a RS-232 and stuff. That's pretty neat.
Laseractive is due out this summer. No information yet on price. There were other major high-tech alliances at this CES. IBM teamed up with the Discovery Channel to develop a new interactive learning program called Planet Earth: The Force Within, based on documentaries from the Discovery Channel.
Like the Grand Canyon is a revealing geological laboratory.
Oh, wow. The skipping audio, even in their example right there. What was that little thingy underneath there? I have one of those. I forget what it's called. One of those Roland, what is that called? CS30? I know Tandy had a MMS10. Oh no, so it looks like not the CS30, but the CS10 from Roland is what they had going on there. And then Tandy's was the MMS10. I have a couple of them. They're pretty neat.
Coming up next, the latest in computer games and video games.
Heck yeah, Stuart. All right. Questions, comments, CompuServe. Yes. I would log in and ask some questions if I could.
Computer games may not seem the most important part of the high-tech industry, but because of the never-ending technology demands of game hardware and software, computer games, in fact, are leading the way in this inevitable merger of consumer electronics.
All those Sega Genesises over there, are those Model 2s?
Video game sales amounted to nearly $5 billion last year. Nintendo alone sold over $3 billion worth of game hardware and software. Sega sold close to $1.5 billion worth.
So Nintendo was $3 billion of the $5 billion video game industry, and Sega was another 1.5. So that leaves precious little for everyone else. That is nuts. That kind of makes sense. This is 93.
So the market for video game products is huge and growing.
TV tuner.
Sega has jumped on the CD bandwagon with a new Sega CD system that plugs into a Genesis console. Sega calls it Virtual VCR.
Virtual VCR, with Night Trap as the example, of course. Man, this is when I first started like really noticing and getting into gaming consoles as being like the most exciting thing in my world for a bit. Like specifically remembering seeing commercials for the Game Gear and the Sega CD and seeing Night Trap and everything else like that just on displays at Toys R Us. And a friend of mine got a Sega Genesis Model 2 that year, I believe.
This is Echo the Dolphin, the first Sega game to use DPA, or Dynamic Play Adjustment.
Really?
The software automatically determines the skill level of the player and adjusts the gameplay level according to novice, intermediate, or advanced.
Did it actually do that? I just remember the game being hard as balls. Oh, well, according to TV tropes, it does use a dynamic difficulty thing in Tides of Time. Manual claims factors adjusted to difficulty include how fast levels are finished, how often they're restarted, and how many teleport rings are passed through. Okay.
A company called US Gold was touting CD-ROM quality without the cost of CD-ROM hardware. Flashback: The Quest for Identity is a cartridge-based game that includes 2,000 frames of animation running at 24 frames per second. Live actors were shot on film, and then the artists hand-illustrated the movements onto animation cells, which were then converted into computer graphics.
Such a cool game.
The newest innovation in game input was the Activator.
Oh no, the
Sega
Activator.
Introduced this full-body controller. You stand in a ring which is equipped with infrared sensors that communicate your body movements to the game.
Talk about a thing that never worked as reliably as it should, or at least as you would hope. I mean, in my experience anyway, maybe it just doesn't like my body. But just feel like I'm flailing around doing nothing with that thing.
Tri-X also showed off a new ergonomically designed controller for heavy-duty game players. This is the TurboTouch 360 controller. No need to push down on direction buttons and risk repetitive strain injuries. With TurboTouch, you just move your fingers across the touch sensor pad to guide your game characters. The Aladdin...
I was wondering when they were going to show the actual size controller. But nope, they're just showing the gigantic, ridiculous convention version of the TurboTouch, which is actually kind of interesting when you just slide your thumb over there instead of having a D-pad. I don't like it, but it's kind of interesting. But yeah, the fact that they're just like, here's the controller. It's 6 feet across.
The Aladdin Deck Enhancer was an innovative solution for owners of older 8-bit Nintendo game consoles. The Aladdin system dumps game control into one permanent cartridge and then puts only game-specific data on the actual game cartridge. The result is NES game cartridges for under $20. Nintendo
I never used an Aladdin. I mean, it's an interesting idea, trying to make games cheaper by putting a bunch of the chips that you need in every cartridge just in this main thing here, and then just the game data goes in the bottom. I don't know. Only 24 games for it.
Nintendo also launched its most powerful game technology ever using the new Super FX chip. This is a RISC processor built into each game cartridge that
Again, just imagine how exciting. 1993, go to this like shiny, awesome World of Nintendo booth. You got the Super FX chip coming out. Yeah, dude, Dave with a Y. Davey?
Developed that and the game Star Fox at the same time, so they sort of worked off of each other.
Wonder what happened to that giant World of Nintendo star.
There were lots of new computer-based games introduced at CES. Electronic Arts announced the formation of its new division, EA Kids, to develop edutainment programs for children. One example is Peter Pan, a story painting adventure. It's part interactive cartoon, part Paintbox.
Paintbox Pals, I think is what that was called. I'm not sure I'd call them edutainment. They're more just like kids games. There's also like Eagle Eye Mysteries and things like that. But yeah, I always kind of considered these more just adventure-y type of things as opposed to edutainment.
Video Jam is another new title from EA Kids that lets children create and play animations set to music.
Those little animated turds.
Both Video Jam and Peter Pan are available for the PC.
Even
Math
got little
versions are
like
due
nuts
out
or
soon.
pieces of corn in them. That's terrible.
iMotion Inc. has pushed the envelope a step farther in
Heck
computer
yeah,
game
Alone in the Dark,
graphics
dude.
with its new 3D adventure game, Alone in the Dark.
93, what a year. What a year for games.
Animation without a CD-ROM.
And then at the end of this year, you just get Doom.
Offer up to 9
Just
different camera positions
rips open the guts of everybody else's games.
American Laser Games showed off its new arcade-style
Oh,
shoot 'em up
that's
game,
cool.
Mad Dog McCree.
I mean, Mad Dog McCree isn't that great, but the light gun for the PC version of it, that is awesome. I've never seen one of those in person or like even come across one.
American Laser Games showed off its new arcade-style shoot 'em up
super
game,
cool.
Mad Dog McCree, which lets you interact with the screen by using a laser-based gun. The software is on CD-ROM.
If you have a one of those or like a source for one of those light guns for the PC specifically, let me know.
And just like in the movies, Sequels is the name of the game in software these days.
What kind of computer is that? What is that? Look at this little thing. After looking around a little bit, it really looks like a Toshiba 5200 or very similar laptop, just with the LCD screen removed and a color LCD placed on top of the case. Interesting choice from LucasArts.
LucasArts has just released Maniac Mansion 2, The Day of the Tentacle. LucasArts describes it as the world's first completely interactive cartoon. Up next, video, audio, and virtual...
Oh, what is this? Is different. So, Day of the Tentacle here. Look at this intro. This goes on longer than the one that's at retail, the one that got released. Because the bird normally stops right about here, and then it just chokes and dies, but this goes off to the edge. And that shows more art than I've seen before. Let me just show you a little side-by-side comparison. This is interesting. The pick of the week, the Star Trek screensaver. Oh my goodness. Saves your screen from deadly Klingon burn-in. Ha!
Despite all the computer goodies at this Consumer Electronics Show, there were lots of...
I love all of this. Look at how cool everything looks.
Here. Noisy stereos for your car or van,
What the
telephones
heck?
in
What
every
the
shape
heck is that?
imaginable, and television sets for your car. New high-tech camcorders were hot
Yes.
items at CES. This is the Panasonic IQ VHS camcorder.
The classic, like a little bouncing thing for the Steadicam. Yeah, dude.
Sharp was guessing that amateur
Oh, that's
video buffs were
sweet.
getting
Look how big that screen
at
is.
those tiny black and white viewfinders. Their new Hi8 camcorder, the ViewCam, features a 4-inch color display that you hold in front of you. The ViewCam doubles as a playback monitor and features an anti-glare screen that even works outdoors in the sun.
That, yeah, 4-inch LCD, completely rotatable lens and everything, and 93. Again, really cool. Yeah, you don't normally see that kind of stuff until the late 90s. I wonder how much this thing cost. Oh my goodness, yeah. $21.99. So that right there at the end of 93 would have been like $4,800.
In the audio section, the hot item was the new mini disc player, miniature-sized audio CDs that can play back
Mini-disc.
and record.
Yeah.
Sony says they're combining the
I guess 93, introduction of the mini disc right here. CES. Again, what an exciting show.
convenience of a cassette deck with the quality of a CD.
Why not develop a new music format that has the benefits of both the cassette and the CD? It has the compact size.
What the heck's going on behind him? There's some chaos back there. Look at this motion rig.
Music on the go, just like the cassette is, but like the CD, it's an optical disc as well as having instant random access.
Not exactly like a CD. It's magneto-optical, not fully optical, so whatever. I get what you're saying, dude. It's good.
The new mini disc players offer virtual no-skip shock resistance because of an LSI chip that stores up to 10 seconds of read-ahead music. So even if the deck skips, it gets corrected before you actually hear that portion of
Sorry, Stuart, I didn't hear a thing you said. That's an effective demonstration of your mini disc anti-skip just bouncing along.
the music. The mini
Yeah.
optical disc is only
Those little early players like that, they're all chunky, but they're still so small. It's just such a cool format. I love mini disc.
and the new mini disc
Ugh.
technology as
It's even cooler now than it was back then somehow.
Minidisc will also grow in the future to become what we like to call more multimedia oriented. There is room already on the Minidisc for text mode displays. You can see the lyrics and even the titles of certain selections and recordings. And in the future, we even have the capability of using this for computer peripheral use.
And that they did. MD data and the subsequent like NetMD and all those kind of things later on. But yeah, it's. I just want mini discs to somehow come back.
the saga of the video phone continued at CES. AT&T was again showing off the high-tech phone that lets you hear and see the person at the other
It
end.
feels like there was video phone stuff being shown off at every one of these shows from like 1980 to 2005, and like no one cared, at least in the consumer market.
It's essentially a TV set you wear on your head. These glasses weigh only 5 ounces.
Picking your nose? Oh, he's adjusting something.
The unit is called the Virtual Vision Sport. The complete system includes the glasses and a belt pack that contains the TV tuner, battery, and an interface for taking.
This is just like the Sony Glasstron that I covered. So basically like virtual large screen. It kind of projects in front of you. It's just little LCDs with fancy lenses. It's just showing composite video on a screen that kind of looks larger than you would think it would looking through. I don't know. It's a neat effect. Like I recommend people try it, but yeah, there's kind of a reason this never caught on. It's iStrain City.
The Virtual Vision company says they're working on new versions of the device that can be used as displays for computers and video games.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that ever happened.
The keynote speaker at CES was the president of a computer company, IBM. Jack Keeler said the merger between the computer industry and the consumer electronics industry has already happened.
In the eyes of the consumer, we're not separate industries anymore. Technology has altered our two streams, and in fact, it really to form
Oh,
a
my
very
goodness.
powerful river.
Definitely the president of IBM.
Opportunity for us and those we serve. Just how well we
Oh,
exploit
goodness.
that opportunity is
Bro.
up to us.
In fact, IBM was one of the major exhibitors here at the Consumer Electronics Show, proudly demonstrating their successful new LCD color display technology. IBM teamed up with Toshiba to develop this flat screen display,
What
a
is this?
16-inch color
Wow.
panel using thin film transfer technology that can display 3D graphics.
That would have been expensive as balls, man. 16-inch TFT color.
It's the industry's largest color LCD display.
Yeah.
The screen has 100 million transistors.
Its density and graphics quality are 400% better than anything seen before in a flat panel this size.
Yeah, 93, that is an insane technology.
It's really not far-fetched to imagine an active matrix video wall in our office, in our home, in our child's classroom in the very near future.
That's wild to say in 93. You look at CES now, and it's all about the video walls and these gigantic displays just everywhere for no friggin' reason. And yeah, they're talking about it here in 93, and they're like, we came out with one 16-inch panel. One day they might be active matrix.
The merger of computers and television was evident from the joint announcement by IBM, NBC, and New Media Corporation
What is this?
of their new multimedia information service called NBC Desktop News. The service automatically reviews incoming video, text, and database information and presents a customized newscast to the user.
Dude, what is this? NBC IBM to offer news by computer. Published November 1992. News on-demand system letting personal computers retrieve videotaped news reports from a library and view them on their computer screens. Yeah, but how? How's this connecting? What is this doing? Like, this is way before any kind of broadband in the home or whatever. IBM developed the system's video server, a jukebox-like device that stores satellite-delivered programming and distributes it when commanded by individuals using an IBM PC equipped with a special circuit board card that allows the machine to show moving images. Dude, I want to find one of these. I obviously couldn't use it anymore, but that's cool as dick.
The news is delivered in a multimedia format on your desktop computer, but the interface looks more like a typical TV newscast rundown.
The interface looks amazing.
IBM was
That looks amazing. What is
about
that?
its ecological credentials. This is the so-called Green Machine, a PS2 computer with a small footprint that's made completely out of recyclable material.
Isn't this the PS2E or whatever? Adrian's Digital Basement. There was a video that he did.
It has no internal fans, and it consumes only 55 watts of power,
Yeah.
less than a typical light bulb and 1/4 the energy required by a standard PC.
I didn't think I'd ever heard of it before, but I guess I have, because I've definitely seen this at some point in the past, but let me look that up. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the first Energy Star desktop. I knew I'd seen that not too long ago. So apparently it came out as the IBM PS2E. Definitely check out Adrian's video. This thing was awesome. In fact, I definitely commented because it's awesome.
Even PC network products were on display at the Consumer Electronics Show. This is SwiftLAN, a bundle of 2 portable network adapters.
Okay, that's cool too. But no, I just saw this here, Moses, and they're talking about networking. Is this the Moses computer network people? Okay, this is another one of those weird late night internet computer rabbit holes I went down a while back and ended up buying stuff that I didn't need and haven't done a video on it yet. But yeah, Moses Computers, they made these networking kits that you could get for your LAN setup back in the day. But the naming is what sold me on it because it's hilarious. So Moses is the name of the company, and they put out these products called the Promise LAN and the Chosen LAN, like LAN. You get it? Biblical networking stuff. And it looks like they also released like some sort of laptop solution.
Consumer Electronics Show. This is SwiftLAN, a bundle of 2
SwiftLAN.
portable network adapters and software that lets you instantly create a 2-node peer-to-peer network between any pair of PCs. The network can be connected without opening up the computer, and there is no need for an external power source.
That looks a lot like LapLink or something, as if that's connecting through parallel. All right, looking it up here, we got this Commodore Magazine archive on these different LAN companies, like LANtastic, just all the puns. But yeah, Promise LAN by Moses Computers, and also did the Chosen LAN, the SwiftLAN, which connects, that is a parallel port thing. So that's fascinating. I didn't know that they did that. I just have the Promise LAN and Chosen LAN things for some reason.
Finally, Telcraft Industries bragged that its new pocket faxer will get into the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's smallest fax machine.
Okay.
It is pocket size and weighs less than 6 ounces.
Did it actually get into the Guinness Book of World Records? All right, so I did find this article from 1991, And it looks like no, Guinness never acknowledged it. or the company never paid Guinness to acknowledge the smaller faxer thing. But the Ricoh PF1 was recognized by Guinness in '91 as the world's smallest fax machine, but that was 11 by 7 by 2, so that's way larger.
The overriding theme at this Consumer Electronics Show was that the merger of computer companies with consumer...
I think that's what was bouncing around in that other shot. It's like some Sony van. Yeah, dude.
The ease of use of consumer appliances. IBM's Jack Keeler called it a unique form of trickle-down technology.
By combining our individual strengths, we have an opportunity together to create a world where entertainment and information is more mobile, more pervasive, more potent, more affordable, and a lot more fun.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Oh, I guess that's it.
Computer Chronicles is made possible.
Well, we don't get random access or any news or anything. It just ended on that boring speech by boring IBM man talking about trickle-down electronics or something. Anyway, oh yeah, I've always wanted to see if I could find one of these, but I've never been able to. The Computer Chronicles VHS tapes, you could request and like have them, sent to you, different episodes. And that is it for this Computer Chronicles watch-along reaction kind of thing here on LGR. I hope that you enjoyed this. Y'all definitely seemed to in the last one, so thank you for the positive responses and not so positive ones. I mean, some of y'all gave me some pointers and things, so hopefully we made it a little bit better this time. I don't know, we'll try it anyway. If nothing else, I just think it's really fun, actually, to go back and revisit these, just on my own time, but also sharing them with y'all and diving into some of the details of the stuff that released and what it cost and the context of it, and especially when it ties into something happening currently, like with CES, and then going back in time and seeing how it was 30-ish years ago or whatever. I just think it's enjoyable. So I hope that you did too. And thank you very much for watching LGR.